Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into something really interesting. It's about how this ancient wisdom text just drops its main way of motivating people. It throws out the word because to teach us something much deeper about how our character pretty much writes our destiny.
Okay, let's start with a question I think we've all struggled with. How do you actually get someone to listen to good advice? You know, whether it's your kids, your students, heck, even yourself. What's the secret to making good advice actually stick?
Well, the simplest way, right? You just give a reason. You say, do this because of that. It's not just telling someone what to do, you're explaining why. And it's a super simple, really powerful formula we use every day.
So in the world of biblical scholarship, this actually has a formal name. They call it a motive clause. It's basically just a command followed by the reason why you should do it. And it almost always starts with words like for or because. And you see this structure all over the place in ancient texts. Like, for example, the Ten Commandments. The command is clear. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. And then comes the reason, that motive clause. For the Lord will not hold him guiltless. See, it's a super clear cause and effect.
But here's what's so fascinating, just how unique this was. In ancient Israelite law, they used these motive clauses about 30% of the time. Now get this, that's a huge leap from the 5 or 6% you find in other cultures around them. So you can tell they really valued explaining the why behind the rules.
Okay, so all of that brings us to this really cool puzzle in the book of Proverbs. I mean, this is a book that's all about teaching wisdom, right? So you'd think it would be absolutely jam-packed with these because statements, these motive clauses. And for the first 9 chapters, it is. The motive clause shows up 39 times, but then something weird happens. As soon as we hit the main collection of Proverbs in chapter 10, the whole pattern just falls off a cliff. The word because practically disappears. And if you want to get specific, in that whole chunk from chapter 10 to 22, you only find these explicit reasons in about 5.3% of the sayings. I mean, that is a massive drop. So, what gives? What happened?
And that right there is the big mystery we're looking at today. How does a book that's all about guiding people, about wisdom, just suddenly ditch its #1 tool for motivation? I mean, did it just give up on trying to be persuasive?
Well, the answer, as it turns out, is a little sneakier. It's not right there on the surface. It's not in the grammar you can see. The real motivation is baked right into the deep structure of the Proverbs themselves. It's a way more sophisticated game they're playing.
All right, let's look at how this actually works. Take the very first proverb in chapter 10. It doesn't say, hey, be wise because it will make your father happy. Nope. Instead, it just lays out this unbreakable equation. A wise son brings joy. A foolish son is grief. See the difference? The character isn't just the cause of the outcome, it is the outcome.
So here's the big shift in thinking. For the longest time, the theory was that Proverbs was all about act-consequence. You know, a simple if you do this, you get that kind of deal. But what we're seeing now is that the real engine here is a character-consequence model. It's not just about your actions, it's about who you are at your core.
And the numbers really back this up. When you actually analyze the deep structure, this character-consequence pattern shows up 152 times. Compare that to the old act-consequence pattern, which only appears 62 times. That's more than double. The text is just hammering home this idea that your character is your destiny.
Okay, so if the big message is character is consequence, then what's the delivery system? How does the book make this idea so incredibly powerful and sticky? Well, it uses a kind of secret psychological weapon. It's a fancy-sounding poetic technique called antithetical parallelism. But it's really simple. It just means a proverb is built in 2 parts, and the second part is the exact opposite of the first. And get this, something like 90% of the proverbs in this whole section use this exact structure.
And once you see it everywhere. It doesn't just say, hey, being diligent makes you rich. It says a slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. It's brilliant. It lays out 2 paths, 2 types of people, and 2 totally different outcomes, all in one neat little package.
From a psychological standpoint, this is just brilliant. Why? Because it doubles the motivational punch. It's not just giving you 1 reason to do something, it's giving you 2, and they're pushing and pulling you at the same time.
Seriously, think about it. In a single elegant sentence, it makes you want to move towards the good outcome. That's attraction. And at the exact same time, it makes you want to run like crazy away from the bad one. That's avoidance. It's tapping into both your hopes
and your fears all at once.
So what's the big lesson here? What's the takeaway from this ancient strategy? It's this idea of an unbreakable chain. It starts with your character. That character drives your choices, and those choices inevitably lead to your consequences. It's all connected, one seamless flow.
In the end, what Proverbs seems to be telling us is that real motivation isn't just about following rules because someone said so. Real wisdom, deep wisdom, is understanding that your character is your story. Your choices are the ink you use to write it. So the question this ancient book leaves us with is a pretty deep one. What story is your character writing?